जय प्रभुपाद 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 प्रभुपाद। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON Samsthapakarya Savior of the whole world Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayed Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 16, Jaya and Vijaya cursed by the sages. Text number 23. Na tvam dvijottama-kulam yadi ha ätma-gopam na tvam dvijottama-kulam yadi hätma-gopam na tvam dvijottama-kulam yadi hätma-gopam goptä vrishaha svarhaëena svarhaëena sa-sünåtena goptä vrishasvarhaëena sa-sünåtena goptä vrishasvarhaëena sa-sünåtena tarhi eva hätma-gopaà çivas tava deva panthä tarhyeva hätma-gopaà çivas tava deva panthä tarhyeva hätma-gopaà çivas tava deva panthä lokaha agrahéñyad rishabhasya hi tat pramäëam loko grahéñyad rishabhasya hi tat pramäëam loko grahéñyad rishabhasya hi tat pramäëam na tvam dvijottama-kulam yadi hätma-gopam goptä vrishasvarhaëena sa-sünåtena tarhyeva hätma-gopaà çivas tava deva panthä loko grahéñyad rishabhasya hi tat pramäëam न त्वं द्विजोत्तमकुलं यदि hätma-gopam na, not, tvam, you, dvija, of the twice born, uttama-kulam, the highest class, yadi, if, ha, indeed, ätma-gopam, worthy to be protected by you, goptä, the protector, vrishaha, the best, su-arhaëena, by worship, sa-sünåtena, along with mild words, tarhi, then, eva, certainly, naìkñyati, will be lost, çivas, auspicious, tava, your, deva, O Lord, panthä, the path, loko, the people in general, grahéñyad, would accept, åñabhasya, of the best, he, because, that, pramäëam, authority. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of Your Lordship. Please repeat this translation. O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of Your Lordship. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In Bhagavad Gita, it is stated by the Lord Himself that the acts and character of great authorities are followed by people in general. Leaders of ideal character are therefore needed in society. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in this material world just to show the example of perfect authority, and people have to follow His path. The Vedic injunction is that one cannot understand the absolute truth simply by mental speculation or logical argument. One has to follow the authorities. Mahajano yena gatassa panthä. Great authorities should be followed. Otherwise, if we simply depend on the scriptures, we are sometimes misled by rascals. Or else we cannot understand or follow the different spiritual injunctions. The best path is to follow the authorities. The four Brahmana sages stated that Krishna is naturally the protector of the cows and Brahmanas, go Brahmana hitayecha. When Krishna was on this planet, he set a practical example. He was a cowherd boy and he was very respectful to the Brahmanas and devotees. It is also affirmed herein that the Brahmanas are the best of the twice born. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are all twice born. But the Brahmanas are the best. When there is a fight between two persons, each of them protects the other, the upper part of his body, the head, the arms and the belly. Similarly, for the actual advancement of human civilization, the best part of the social body, namely the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas and the Vaishyas, the intelligent class of men, the military class and the mercantile men, should be given special protection. Protection of the laborers should not be neglected. but special protection should be given to the upper orders. Of all classes of men, the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas should be given special protection. They should be worshipped. When their protection is performed, it is just like worshipping God. That is not exactly protection, it is a duty. One should worship the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas by offering them all kinds of endowments and sweet words. And if one has no means to offer anything, he must at least use sweet words to pacify them. The Lord personally exhibited this behavior towards the Kumaras. If this system is not introduced by the leaders, then human civilization will be lost. When there is no protection and special treatment for persons who are devotees of the Lord, who are highly intelligent in spiritual life, then the whole society is lost. The word naìkñyati indicates that such a civilization becomes spoiled and is annihilated. The kind of civilization recommended is called deva panthä, which means the royal road of the demigods. Demigods are supposed to be fully fixed in devotional service of Krishna consciousness. That is the auspicious path that should be protected. If the authorities or the leaders of society do not give special respect to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and do not offer them not only sweet words but all facilities, then the path of progress will be lost to human civilization. The Lord personally wanted to teach this, and therefore He offered so much praise to the Kumaras. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the Kumaras are justifying why the Lord praised them. In this verse, they are telling, O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. Dvijottama-kulam, ätma-gopam. Dvija means twice born. It can refer to either the Brahmanas or Kshatriyas or Vaishyas. Because, according to scripture, all three are supposed to undergo the samskara called upanayana, accepting a sacred thread and studying under a qualified or a bona fide spiritual master to acquire both the knowledge about their own occupational duty and knowledge about spiritual subject matter. So among these twice born, three classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Dvijottama refers to the Brahmana class, Brahmanical class. Because the Brahmanical class is specially meant for protecting the spiritual culture. Even though the spiritual training is given to all the three classes, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, the Brahmanas are the most intelligent. So they can understand and they can actually teach and also direct the other citizens, other classes of people in society to worship the Supreme Lord, to cultivate spiritual knowledge or follow principles based on spiritual understanding. Therefore, the Brahmanas are the highest of the twice born. Now the Kumaras are telling, if you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, what happens then? Certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general. People in general always require authority to follow. So the topmost authority in human society is the Supreme Lord Himself. He is the Supreme Lord, so He is the topmost authority. Especially when He incarnates, He shows the right path for people to follow. Because it is said here, people in general act on the strength and authority of Your Lordship. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Yad yad acharati shreshtaha tat tadeve taro janaha sayat pramäëam kurute lokastaranu vartate. People in general require some authority. So, they require a leader. Majority of the people will be followers. They require a leader. And the leader should act according to some standard. He cannot come up with his own standards. The standards set by the leader or the example set by the leader should be in accordance with the standard scriptures. Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. All the scriptural directions are given directly by the Supreme Lord Himself. The Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says that prescribed duties are mentioned in the Vedas. Karma brahmodbhavam vidhi and brahmakshara samudbhavam. 15th verse, 3rd chapter. So therefore, the Vedas are given by the Supreme Lord and the Vedas contain directions for people to perform their prescribed duties. And such prescribed duties should be performed as sacrifice. And who is going to guide the people in performing sacrifice? It is the Brahmanas. Yajana, Yajana. Two occupational duties, Brahmana. They should themselves perform sacrifice after having learnt it from the proper source. And they should also teach others how to do sacrifice. Because without sacrifice, what does Krishna say in Bhagavad Gita? What happens if there is no sacrifice? Na ayam loko asti ayajñasya kutonya kurusattama. Ayajñasya means if people don't perform sacrifice, what happens? Open quickly, 3rd chapter. No, it's in the 4th chapter. It's not in the 3rd chapter. It's in the 4th chapter. Which is the verse? Nayam lokostya yajñasya kutonyas kurusattama. It's a short verse. Just 2 lines. (31). 4.31. Translation. One can never live happily without sacrifice. On this planet or in this life? What then of the next? On this planet or in this life, nobody can be happy without performing sacrifice. Why? If they don't do sacrifice, they become sinful. And sinful people have to suffer sinful reactions. So they can never be happy without sacrifice. So sacrifice is absolutely essential. Such sacrifice is taught by the Brahmanas to the rest of the people. Everybody has to do sacrifice. The prescribed duty itself is sacrifice. Sacrifice doesn't mean some special rituals. Sacrifices, their duty itself. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. See, so many misconceptions are there in society. People think yajna means some ritual. And ritual means call some pandit, call some purohit, call some priest, and he'll perform. No, this is not exactly the spirit of performing yajna. Yajna has to be performed by the people under the direction of the Brahmanas. Under the direction of the Brahmanas. And that sacrifice or yajna is described in the Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, as yajna karma samudbhavaha. Sacrifice is born of prescribed duties. This is how society should be organized. People should perform their prescribed duties. Then only society can be properly a progressive society. Otherwise, there is no question of progress. It will become like a law of the jungle. Might is right. In the jungle, because the Supreme Lord has made arrangement, everybody is controlled by the modes. They strictly have to follow the act under the modes. All the inhabitants of the forest, basically the animals and lower creatures, and even the uncivilized people, they just live a very primitive life. But those who are civilized, they have got little more freedom. Why? Because they can act based on some principles, scriptural directions. So for such people, it is said, it is absolutely essential that they perform sacrifice. It's a civilized people that the scriptures are directing. You don't have to work every time you require food, some necessities. No. A civilized person can organize himself in such a way that agriculture, cow protection and trade can actually provide necessities without people all the time working every time they require something. Just like agriculture, grow 3 months in a year and remaining 9 months you don't have to keep on growing grains. Is it not? Grains only during rainy season, that's all. So that cycle is established. Annad bhavanti bhutani, living beings subsist on food grains, flourish actually. Bhavanti means flourish. What is the word for meaning? Bhavanti? Grow. Okay. Another place Prabhupada says flourish. What is the translation?
All living bodies subsist on food grains.
Subsist on food grains. Another place Prabhupada says flourish. Bhavanti. Annad bhavanti bhutani. And such food grains are produced from rains. Parjanyad anna sambhavaha. And rains are due to performance of sacrifice. Yajñad bhavati parjanyo. And Yajna itself is born of prescribed duties. Yajna karma samudbhavaha. Then karma brahmodbhavam vidhi. These prescribed duties, which is nothing but sacrifice, that is given in the Vedic scriptures. Vedic scriptures. And Brahmakshara samudbhavam. The Vedic scriptures are directly given by the Supreme Lord. And Tasmat sarvagatam brahma nityam yajne pratishtitam. Therefore, the all-pervading Lord, who has given us this scriptures which prescribe the duties which will result in performance of sacrifice, which will result in rain, which will result in growing food grains, which will provide the basic subsistence for all civilized human beings at least. This civilized society, growing food grains, cultivating the land, and parallel to that, cow protection, because cow gives milk. Cow protection is very important because it gives milk. And that milk can be used in so many ways. So many ways. So, this agriculture, cow protection, and trade. Excess, somebody has got some particular milk products or agricultural products, whatever. So they can trade. So one community may not have some particular item. So another community has excess of that item. So they trade. They give something and they take something. Trading. So, Krishi, Goraksha, Vanijya, Vaishya Karma, Swabhavajam. And also born of the nature, acquired nature, there are these duties which is suited for the particular class of people. So everything is perfectly organized by following the scriptural directions, especially for civilized human beings. Because this whole arrangement is for a higher purpose. Civilized people can think of the path of self-realization, spiritual enlightenment, ultimate liberation from material bondage. That is for civilized people. So, the path of ultimate liberation is taught by the Supreme Lord Himself, especially when He incarnates. At the beginning of creation, He instructed Brahma, and Brahma instructed the sons and disciples to perform sacrifice, to follow the scriptural directions, to perform their respective duties, etc. But in course of time, in the material world, there is always some deterioration of the practices. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharat. Dharmasya glani means either people neglect to follow the principles, religious principles, or they become godless, because of which they will perform activities against the religious principles. See, one thing is somebody neglects, like sometimes nowadays you see people say, oh, I can't follow all those difficult to follow principles. That is neglect. But there are people who go against the Vedic injunctions. I don't believe meat eating is sin. And they'll kill animals and become implicated so badly. So, this is called dharmasya glani. And Krishna says, whenever there is dharmasya glani, He incarnates. So, continuously incarnations are there. The Bhagavatam says incarnations are appearing as frequently as the waves in the ocean. Can you imagine the number of incarnations? This is explained by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That just in one day of Brahma, empowered incarnation called Manu. How many Manus are there in one day of Brahma? 14 Manus in one day of Brahma. These are all empowered incarnations, Manus. Now, there are millions of Brahmandas. Each Brahmanda there is a Brahma. So each Brahmanda, in one day of Brahma, there will be 14 Manus. So 14 times millions of Brahmandas. So who can count? How many empowered incarnations called Manus appear in one day of Brahma? Now Brahma's lifetime is like 30 days in 1 month, 12 months in a year, 100 years. So Prabhupada says that comes to 5040 Manus in the lifetime of a Brahma. Millions of universes, such empowered incarnations appear. So once creation takes place, millions of Manus appear. What to speak of the other incarnations? Then there are devatas who are also empowered incarnations of the Supreme Lord. Devatas are specially empowered for administration. How many devatas are there? 33 crore devatas in one Brahmanda. Millions of Brahmandas. Millions of Brahmandas. And all these devatas don't have a term which is equal to the term of Brahma. Brahma has got the longest term, duration, as an empowered devata. Some devatas, they last, other than Brahma, a devata will last only one manvantara. One manvantara. So again, maximum one manvantara means minimum. Minimum 14 devatas positions had to be there in one day of Brahma. 14 sets of these devatas. Indra and then Manu himself. Manu is of course separate incarnation. Devatas are separate incarnation. Then Vayu, Varuna, like that. These special posts are held by very, very highly pious, empowered personalities. Then there are demigods who are lower than them, subordinate to them. Like that, there is a whole hierarchy, 33 crore devatas in one Brahmanda. Like that, there are millions of Brahmandas. All these are empowered personalities. All these are counted in incarnations. Shakyavesha avatara. In the Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 3rd chapter, it is mentioned. The Manus, the Devatas, and the Pitris, all these are empowered incarnations. Apart from that, the Lord appears in His plenary portions and portions of plenary portions. Amsha and Kala. So continuously, Sambhavami Yuge Yuge, every yuga, He appears. Paritranaya sadhunam, for protecting the devotees. Vinashaya cha dushkritam, for destroying the demons. And dharma samsthapanarthaya, very important function. Dharma samsthapanarthaya. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharata. So to establish the religious principles. So therefore religious principles are taught by the Supreme Lord when He incarnates, so that people in general will be able to follow the authority of the Supreme Lord. Who is the Supreme Authority? Who is the Supreme Authority? So just because people should actually follow the auspicious path of worship, the Lord Himself actually acts in such a way that He sets an example. The Bhagavatam 10th canto, Shukadeva Swami describes Krishna used to perform daily duties as a Kshatriya king of Dwaraka. He used to give in charity, he used to worship the Brahmanas, he used to go and pay obeisances to his mothers. Because Vasudeva had how many queens? Huh? No? No? You said 24? No. 16 queens. Vasudeva had 16 queens. So 16 mothers. Not only his mother Devaki, but he used to go and pay obeisances to all the stepmothers also. So, Krishna used to go and pay respects to the Brahmanas, give in charity to the Brahmanas, worship the Brahmanas every day morning. This was daily duty. It is there, described in the Bhagavatam. In the 10th canto, Shukadeva Goswami describes to Parikshit Maharaj. Ideal grahastha. Ideal grahastha. So, Krishna performs all this to set an example. That's what he says. If I didn't follow the principles, then people in general would follow my path and they would be actually, if Krishna does not follow, they will say, Lord is not following. Or if they follow his path where he does not follow, then they will also not follow. Therefore, Krishna himself sets the path of following religious principles by his own example. That's why Krishna went to Gurukul. There's no need for him to go to Gurukul. He is the source of all knowledge. But he went to Gurukul just to set an example. Similarly, Krishna as a king, he was performing all the duties. So that he explains in the Bhagavad Gita that he does that just to set an example for the others. So it is explained here that especially the Brahmanas are to be given special protection in the society, even among the twice born. The twice born should be protected because they are important among the four classes. Among Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya are important for the actual advancement of human civilization. These twice born should be protected. But among them, Brahmanas are the best. Therefore, Brahmanas require special protection. Brahmanas require special protection. And not only they should be protected, they should also be worshipped. They should also be worshipped. Brahmanas should be worshipped. Prabhupada says, when Brahmanas are protected, it is like worshipping God. Protection of Brahmanas is like worshipping God. In the 17th chapter, Krishna describes deva, dvija, guru, prajna, pujanam. Deva is worship of the Supreme Lord. Dvija is worship of the Brahmanas. Of course, here Brahmanas refers to Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. worship of the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. This is very, very important aspect of human civilization. And the Lord is exhibiting the proper behavior towards the Brahmanas in his dealing with the Kumaras. If one has no means to offer anything to the Brahmanas, when one worships the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, if he has no means to offer anything, at least he must use sweet words to pacify them. At least use sweet words to pacify them. So that was personally exhibited in the behavior by the Supreme Lord. He pacified the Kumaras with sweet words. So it is now explained why did the Supreme Lord offer so much praise to the Kumaras? Just to set the proper standard in the material world, to set the proper standard. Actually, in the spiritual world, there is no need. Because in the spiritual world, everybody is Krishna conscious. Everybody knows the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Authority, the Supreme Protector, the Supreme Well-Wisher. Everybody knows that. So everybody conducts themselves properly, perfectly. But in the material world, people are in ignorance. People are in darkness of ignorance. Because the Kumaras have gone from the material world to the spiritual world. So therefore, the Kumaras are becoming enlightened. By this visit to Vaikuntha, they are becoming enlightened. So therefore, the Lord is instructing the Kumaras, and through Kumaras instructing the whole world, material world, everyone. He is instructing. So not only the Lord instructs through the Vedic literature, but he also instructs through his pastimes. His pastimes also are instructive. His activities are instructive. Though he performs his pastimes or activities for the pleasure of the devotee, himself and his devotees. Ananda. But still, the pastimes are also instructive. Every pastime is instructive. That's why Shukadeva Goswami describes the pastimes. That's why Suta Goswami describes the pastimes of the Lord. They are all instructive. In describing Bhagavata Dharma, Dharma itself. Among Dharma, types of Dharma, topmost is Bhagavata Dharma. And describing Bhagavata Dharma in the Bhagavatam, Suta Goswami, Shukadeva Goswami, Maitreya Rishi, all of them describe the activities of the Supreme Lord in his various incarnations, the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So they are all instructive. They are all instructive. So here also, the Lord by his pastime in pacifying the Kumaras who became angry at the doorkeepers, he is instructing everyone what is the proper behavior towards Brahmanas, what is the proper standard of behavior towards Brahmanas. Even if the Brahmanas have done some mistake, or even if they exhibit anger, how one should not retaliate. One should actually pacify with sweet words the Brahmanas, even if they become angry. Just to protect the Brahminical culture, which is absolutely essential in human society for the progress of the human beings on the path of spiritual advancement. Any questions?
our incarnation of God. Sometimes we see that Devadas also indulge in sense gratificatory activities. So how to understand this aspect, Maharaj?
They are empowered, but they are jiva souls. Any jiva soul, even if empowered, if that jiva is not a pure devotee, not up to the standard of pure devotional service, there's every possibility of them becoming affected by the influence of the gunas. Every possibility they may make a mistake. Who is the one who never makes a mistake, who never becomes bewildered by the influence of the gunas? Only a pure devotee. Among the jivas, of course. Any other question? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय.